Okay, it's Goldman here again. Today I'm just going to run through a range of targets that show you the point at which a target will move from being a rising pitch to a falling pitch. So I've got all gold targets. This first one is a 0.99. The second one is a 1.51. The third one's a 3.72 gram, and the fourth one is a 5.36. Now, my expectation is that the first three will all give you a rising pitch, and the fourth one will give you a falling pitch, which is a low-high. So here we go. We'll set these up. I'll set the camera up so we can see potentially the depth that we're getting on these things. Right, there we go. So, first one, 0.99. And I've got to turn my speaker on. Okay, so here we go. First one, 0.99. Definite rising pitch, high-low response on the 0.99. 1.51, strongest signal, still a rising pitch, high-low. Third one to 3.72, quite a good response as well, but still at 3.72 grams, it's a rising pitch, high-low. Now, as we move through the detection hole to work out where it moves from being a rising pitch to a falling pitch, we come back up to the 5.36, and it's immediately, you can hear straight away it's a falling pitch, a low high. So somewhere between the 5.36 and the 3.72, the detector has to work out whether it's a rising pitch or a falling pitch. The point at which the decision is made, where it stops being a rising pitch and starts becoming a falling pitch, is often referred to as the detection hole. Now with the QED, it's very narrow. So looking at this, it's somewhere between 3.72 and 5.36. So around the 4 to 4.5 gram mark is my guess. Now, when a detector picks up a target which is in the detection hole, you get a very poor signal response from a piece of gold you would expect to get a good target response from. So let's just say it was a 4 gram piece. You would expect a very good response from a 4 gram piece. But if it's right in the detection hole, it's the right size, right profile, etc., you'll get a very poor response. Be right down on the ground before you get any response. It'll be a fluffy type response. So all you do to get rid of it, so if you ever come across a point like that where you go across an area with a small coil at say mode 1 or 3, whatever it might be, it's best to then go across the area again if you really want to work it with a larger coil with a different mode. Now, as soon as you change mode, the detection hole will move from one point to another. So therefore the size of the target will change. Now I'm running this in mode 3, this is factory default. And if I went to mode 5, the detection hole will change slightly, so you should pick up a target that was once in the detection hole, especially with a larger coil. So, falling pitch, rising pitch, rising pitch. And of course, the 0.08 piece I normally use in my nuggets, as you already know, produces a rising pitch. So anywhere from the smallest up to about, let's just say 4 grams or 4 and a bit, are going to give you a rising pitch target response. And anything above that is going to give you a falling pitch target response. Right in the middle, where it decides whether it's a falling pitch or a rising pitch, is the so-called detection hole. And if a nugget of the right size, which is pretty rare, happens to be the right profile and size to fall into that very narrow hole, you're going to get a poor response. And you may not get the response you would expect from that size nugget, but I reckon that chance of finding one of those is extremely rare out in the field. However, if you do happen to find a very poor response and it gets a bit fluffy, just change modes and up to say 3 or 4 or 5 modes and it should jump out of the hole, or change coils and see how you go. Anyway, 5.36 falling pitch, 2.72 rising pitch, 1.51 rising, 0.99 rising. So anything below 0.99 is definitely going to give you the rising pitch, and anything above 5.36 is going to give you a falling pitch. Now again, nuggets are not all the same. If you have a nugget with a lot of holes in it, a lot of cavities, etc., a larger nugget of that type may in fact give you a rising pitch because they've got a lot of little eddy currents running around in the cavities and holes, but nevertheless it's going to give you a strong response. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say at the moment. But somewhere in there between the 5 and the 3 is the detection hole, and with the QED it's very narrow. The way to solve the problem is to either change coils or to change coils and raise the mode. If you think you're in an area where you could get a 4 gram nugget which potentially falls in there because of its size and profile, etc. But good detecting practice, you go over an area with a small coil first potentially to find the small gold, and then you switch coils, go to a higher mode and do the area again to find the larger gold you missed with a small coil. So that would be standard practice in an area where you know there's good gold being found. Don't rely on just one pass over with a small coil. You change coils and obviously you change modes along the way, and that way you can be sure you've covered an area thoroughly. And as it turns out, you would have picked up any targets that may ever fall into the detection hole, no matter how rare that case may have been. And you can say to yourself, well, I have definitely covered that area. Alright, Goldman out.